Wow, you actually did it. You finished 2 segments and now on the third and final segment of this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and as I always say, folks, sit back, relax, and always stay shrimptastic.
Gets to me. I want to talk about death, right? I want to talk about
Death.
death. I want to talk about death
Wow.
and afterlife.
Edgy much? Edgy
I don't want to
much?
talk about death
Okay.
solely,
Yeah.
and this is because of my good friend Abir, of our good friend Abir. That day when we
Yeah.
were outside, and he discussed.
Yeah, we're going to go
Yeah,
right
yeah,
right? I think
Yeah,
you guys
we
were
went
talking.
to
and
go.
he
Yeah.
discussed about consciousness and what happens to your consciousness when you die. And so I kept thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
And it's insane because I even found a study on it that proves. The sample's pretty low. I'll get into it. That proves that afterlife could exist. Consciousness does in fact go on after you die. So I want to hear from
Yeah.
you guys first. What do you think happens after death?
What happens after that?
What
Okay.
happens to your consciousness? What do you think?
Walrus, do you want to take this one, Walrus?
See, personally, I don't care what really happens to me after I die. If there's an afterlife, amazing. If there is not, then it's okay. I'm done. I had fun in my previous life. But if there is an afterlife, I'm pretty sure it would be considered as heaven or hell. I don't know. I don't want to get into that
Did you guys ever
conversation yet.
think about how heaven and hell would be organized?
I mean, if you have seen the movies, TV shows,
Yeah,
etc.,
but
etc., they always show how heaven is like all like white.
no, I get that, but
Why is it
like,
white though?
I get that, but what happens when you enter the gate? I want to know that.
Can I just take the floor for a second?
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
That's my
okay.
flow. Stop taking it.
So basically, right, like when you talk about death, first I'll answer your question. Like, what do you think happens after death? Let's talk about souls and why, and I'll explain why we're talking about souls, right? There is definitely, so basically we're a meat sack for our brain, for a fact, right? Because actually we're a brain in a body mech suit. So because of that, right, imagine our souls, right? What is our soul? It's energy. And what is energy? Energy cannot be destroyed nor created, but can always transfer to a different form, correct? So if energy can be transferred to a different form, and
Yeah.
even if I was freaking God, right, and I wanted to create life on Earth, I would definitely want a system that would automate the creation of life. I don't want to be mixing fucking shit all the damn time to create human beings. No, you automate the system. That's no, but genuinely, like, dude, if he is a superior being and he is of superior intellect, he will definitely have automated the system of life. That is for fact. So if you're automating the system of life, why destroy life? You don't
Yeah.
destroy life. What you do is you convert life into life. Yeah, so basically, like, you convert that energy into life again, right? So once I die, I don't think I'd go to heaven or hell. No, I think my life would be converted and gone into another wheat sack that is just coming out or that is being produced. And that would be life again. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. So Abir, right?
Our friend. Yes.
He said he had a similar. Did I say
I heard
Alfred?
Alfred. Definitely heard it.
No. The point is, Abir, right? He was talking about this consciousness thingy, and he was like, once you die, what if your consciousness just goes into it takes the form of energy, right? So what if it just goes to someone else, and that changes someone's personality? Like, think
split
about that.
personality.
So once you die, no, not split personality, but it just mixes with the other ones, and then it just influences them. But I think that I personally, as amazing as it sounds, it probably isn't possible, because that whole argument about whether ghosts exist, comes into life. See what I did there? So, by the way, ghosts. Let's talk about ghosts, because ghosts. I don't think ghosts can ever exist because they need something. So even if they're just energy, they need something to feed on to, continue living
I
as
mean,
ghosts.
personally,
I don't think so. Ghosts exist. What I think it's spirits. It's not ghosts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get all spooky and stuff, but
Do you
I've
get what I'm
had an
saying?
encounter. I mean, I wasn't
hey,
kidding.
Spooktober,
It's
yeah.
October. I mean, we should get spooky. Ooh,
Okay, fine, sure. I'll tell you a little
October.
backstory. Okay, so this was back in 2013, right? And I was about, I
Yeah.
think, 12, maybe 13 or 14. I'm not too sure. I think 12. Yeah, I was 12 back then.
Ah.
And so we had recently moved into a house where someone had died, and we were not aware of it. Um, yeah,
Whoa.
so one night, I was sleeping, and I saw this like old lady like lying right next to me, and she was like extremely white and glowing. I thought that was just my dream, and I probably, I probably I still think
What?
it's my dream, but but it felt
Okay.
like she existed because she pinched me. Um,
She
yeah,
pinched
and
you.
then I woke up, I ran to my mom, and then I slept on the same bed as my mom. I was so scared. I was 12. Come on. Um, so that happened, and that ever since then, ghosts exist because I physically encountered one. Now, I don't want to go off topic. My topic was afterlife, and what I want to talk about is theories about afterlife because that's very interesting, and it's been bugging me ever since. So one of the theories that I really like is that once you die, right, your consciousness it's an empty void. I read this somewhere is that once you die, your consciousness just keeps on, having a loop, and then your memories start playing forever and ever, and just keeps on going. What do you guys think about that? What do you think could possibly,
I mean,
happen?
but thinking about it, I have also had personal encounters with a ghost, and this one was fucking creepy, right? So it all
Begin.
begins like it happened like last year, actually, very recently, and in the house that I was staying previously
Oh,
to the house I'm
really?
staying now, and yeah, and in my room, right, and you know how
Oh.
huge my room is, right? Like it was pretty big back in the day, like in that house, and I had a really
Mm.
like I had this bed, this type of bed, so where it's not a bunk bed exactly, but there are two beds, and you can slide one out. Okay. Anyways, so it all starts with this really small boy, and it's not like my lights are off. My lights are on. All right, and I'm talking to someone on the phone, and I'm talking to her, and as I'm speaking to her, my peripheral vision sees a small Asian boy. All right, minus all the racial jokes that come after what I said. Genuinely, I see a small Asian boy right next to me, and he's definitely a kid. And I look at him, and I just say, like, I'm stuck, I'm frozen, and and I'm on the phone, right? And I'm like, okay, fuck, I gotta call you back later. 1 second. I hang up, and
Okay.
literally for 10 seconds I'm
Wait, was it
frozen
the
and
boy
looking.
from the
No, it
Grudge?
was not. It was not. That's the thing.
You
Yeah,
sure?
I am sure.
Just
And I'm looking at him,
guys,
Alright.
and he's staring right at, like, he's staring right back at me, right? And it's just this deadly, like, not deadly stare, but it's just like the silent stare. And then I just walk away.
You just
I
what?
just walk out of the room. I walk out of the room, and I don't go back in. And I close the door, and I don't go back in. And I fuck you not, when I come back in, he's not there anymore. And the thing
Why
is,
would you go back in?
well, I had to go to sleep, right? And I don't sleep on my mom's
Why were
room
you still in the house?
because I was 17.
you know what's interesting about ghosts is how the media portrays a
Yeah.
ghost, a figure of ghost. I I'm always enthusiastic when it gets to like topics about media because I love how media always like
Uh,
does this. Okay, you know how ghosts always appear,
Yeah.
all white,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
scary looking. The ghost that I experienced, I mean, yes, she was old. She had white hair, She wasn't scary,
There.
she was just like
Ah.
there. Yeah. And so, I mean, what about you? Like, when you experienced that boy, did you see like a very
Yeah,
scary figure
yeah,
just
no,
staring into your deep
genuinely
eyes?
speaking, like I was shit scared, like primal fear scared. And there's a difference between just normal fear and primal fear. Because like primal fear is when you know you're in danger, and normal fear is just when fear is a choice, right? I mean, danger is what's something that you really need to be aware of. But fear is a choice.
Yeah.
And I had these goosebumps, and I remember exactly how I feel. I had these goosebumps, and I had this primal fear, and I just couldn't get it off me. And I did sleep in that room that night. And the
Mhm.
very next night, I go to my cousin sister's place, and she reads tarot cards to me. All right. And it's crazy because, like, so my mom always told me, never, this family is not good with tarot cards. Never let anyone read you your tarot cards. All right. She warns me, but I never understood that warning because I always like love tarot cards. I love the future, and I wanted to genuinely see what would happen. You get what I'm saying? So when I did go to this cousin's place and she did read my cards, as soon as that happened, I went back home, and for the next until the time I moved out of that house, I saw a black figure standing over me every time. Like every time. Just a black figure.
Over you.
Like over me. Like over me. Just a black figure. Like I can't even describe it. It's not like the Slenderman. And it's not like a normal human being, like the normal figure of a
Wait.
man.
Oh, sorry. I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
You sure it wasn't sleep paralysis?
I don't think I have sleep paralysis.
I think
No,
Krish
I
was
was like, it
probably
was
too
last
young
year,
How
to
old
bro.
were
have.
I was
you?
last year. It was last year.
Last year, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
17.
But like it could also be sleep paralysis if you think about it.
I mean, I think I could move. I don't remember now that you say that. I don't know actually. Yeah. But like genuinely,
Because like
like
sleep paralysis are fucking
yeah.
scary.
Fuck. Like I mean, like
Because like shit's happening to
yeah.
you and you can't
Okay,
move.
so
Damn.
you sound as if you've had multiple, dude.
No, but I've seen it on
Oh,
videos.
okay. You realize
Yes.
that's just a simulation.
Everyone's in a
That's completely
simulation.
different.
I don't know.
Life is a simulation.
Yeah.
Right. So no, coming back
Yeah.
coming back to
Yeah.
what I was talking about, consciousness. There was this YouTube comment that I had to, I
Yeah.
have to read it out loud. I'm gonna quote everything he said. It's by ACAD man. It was on a video I was just watching for fun. Um, see, he writes, there are only two choices, brackets, chances, question mark, from my experience afterlife. One, there's nothing, no awareness, just a dreamless sleep. We would be unaware of it ourselves for eternity. What is the harm in that?
Oh.
No punishment, no pain, no darkness, no light, no warmth, no cold. We lived, we ended. That's it. And then he writes two. This is his second theory. He goes, there is consciousness, self awareness, in which case we could seek further fulfillment or to declare ourselves masters or grand visors to the ruler of the existent, to the ruler of that existence, a foolish mortal way of existing that would lead to us creating hell for ourselves as we did when we lived on. What if we would be condemned
Oh,
to be alone with our
fuck.
thoughts forever? This is a
Yeah.
true form of hell in itself. No, he
Damn.
goes on. He doesn't stop there. He
Oh.
goes on. Yeah. So he goes on, he says, some like to think our awareness would only be for perpetual worship and praise we must bestow upon the great master again for eternity. How much praise and adulation does one God need? As curious creatures, we would eventually find that to also be a hellish existence. Or we get to sit around like retirees in a retirement community playing Scrabble and Pinochle. I don't know what that is, but while little angels bring us lemonade and cookies once in a while. Our evil cousins have some dreadfully horrible other experience, though a thought of which we take prideful glee as we call for another round of Cloud's shuffleboard. When I read this, um, I got goosebumps, like really bad goosebumps. I love the way
Same.
this guy thinks. I love the way this guy thinks. He talks about how, our consciousness could just create a hellish existence because,
I
how
think
empty up we would feel. And then he goes on talking about how it could just be a completely different void, and he brings out the conventional heaven theory, um, like how heaven would look like. So there's a story, well, not a story. There's a study that's been done
Yeah.
by Dr. Pania. Okay,
Okay.
I'm sorry if I mispronounce his name. He did this
Yeah.
project called the Aware Study. So basically, it was this is the abstract. He did a
Yeah.
multi-hospital clinical study of the brain and consciousness during cardiac arrest. So he wanted to see if whether people would during a cardiac arrest do they actually have a near-death experience, and whether they whether the ones who survived could explain what they would see. Initially, what he was doing was he tested the validity of
Wow. Okay.
perceptions, what people saw
Yeah.
after they left their body.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
You guys understand?
out of body
Yeah.
experience.
During the out
Ah.
of body. Yeah, he tested this. He tested this with
Wow.
2,000 cardiac arrests. Okay, in the study from
Oh,
15 different
Big.
hospitals.
Yeah.
This guy's study was huge. Yeah. So, but the problem with this study is that, I mean, I'll get into it later. But he only got like 140 patients, out of which 39 were ill. But
oh,
the
okay.
important bit is he had 9 patients who had near death experiences. So, I mean, since cardiac arrest is very rare, I mean, getting 9 near death experiences is still enough, I guess. But these 9 patients had detailed memories. Sorry, only 2 of them had detailed memories near death experience. So what this doctor was trying to do, Sam Pania, he put different shelves, okay, with pictures on top. So during
Shelves.
shelves, yeah.
Okay.
During this study, and whenever the ICU or whatever, he put shelves and he put pictures, just so that whether
Yeah.
so he could achieve his validity. Okay, what he did was he put 50 to 100 shelves, and after there was a resuscitation when they get the patient in, and there was a near death experience. He asked the patients whether they actually left their body, and they could see the photos. Now, if they saw the photos, it meant that there was consciousness after life, so that would prove his theory. What's interesting is that some of them who actually detailed their memories, or at least
Okay.
one of them felt euphoric,
Oh,
and he
okay.
could hear, and when he had this near death experience, one of them
Huh.
felt euphoric. He could hear people saying, shock his body, the doctors obviously. And then he said that he left his body. He could see his body being treated,
Whoa.
and he could see the pictures. He showed the same pictures, and he remembered the doctor who's going to announce to his family that he's going to die. What? But he remembered the doctor. He saw the pictures, and he remembered the environment in totality. But
Yeah.
this is one guy, and he had a fully detailed experience of his near-death experience. As much, I mean, he only got 140 patients out of 2,000, so it's still non-generalizable. I mean, it could happen, it could not happen, but still, the account is qualitative.
Yeah, it is.
It is amazing. Like, just to
Yeah.
think about that he saw
Yeah.
his
Like,
body, and
if we
just
could
like
correlate
he saw that.
what the user that you quoted from the YouTube comment, if we correlate his theory as well as the study from the doctor, and as well as something I want to say right now is, what is life, and can people live subconsciously? We're not going to answer the what is life question, but
Wait. I'm gonna
oh shit,
stop you
yeah, he
there.
did.
He continued. I'm sorry.
Oh fuck, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to read that bit. So he said, what could we learn or experience in such a short existence here in life that would be worth a master of the whole universe keeping? Does it seek that which we have in abundance, selfishness, pride, sloth, greed, hate? No. There is only one thing such a universal being could possibly want from us: our experiences in loving for deep within the soul. There's nothing like it. The uniquely human feeling when we were loved and did love, are all it wants from us, and all that we can share that is worthy of it. It consumes us and strains out all that is evil and keeps that content sweetness of love, savoring it over and over. In doing so, we become a part of it and are amazed. So I believe that I believe that this is what gives us a universal consciousness. Our strange ability to experience love makes us eternal. This man,
This dude.
even though,
Damn.
yeah, so he's talking
Yeah.
about now, keeps on going on, and that's how we're always,
We should
alive
get
in
in
a way.
contact with him. We should call
Definitely.
him
He
on
should
our
be like
podcast.
a guest or something.
Yeah, sure. I want to talk to
Yeah,
this
no,
guy.
so
Yeah,
like
I
Krish, you were
wanna
saying
there
something
was,
about.
in
wanna
that
be a
same
friend.
day that we went to Gorai Beach, I was talking to Abir about like somewhat the same thing, living subconsciously and living consciously. Okay. Now, so like living subconsciously, when people live routinely and they do something they don't want to do, for instance, going to engineering college or even being an engineer for a company and doing the same thing, going to do that 9 to 5 job. Do you know that hit that you get when you realize you're doing something so wrong and you're screwing up your life? Everyone talks about that hit. Everyone
Mhm.
talks about that
Yeah.
hit. But what about before? Before that hit, what are you doing? You're living so subconsciously. You're not looking at the present, you're not looking at the future, and you're definitely not looking at the past. Or maybe you are looking at the past, or
It's
maybe
like
you're
you
looking
keep
at the
on
future.
existing in
Yeah,
that same time zone.
Yeah.
You
exactly. But
don't realize what
you're not
could
in the
happen.
present, are you? You're not living in the present.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's living subconsciously, right?
Yeah.
Now, living consciously is when you're constantly in the present, when you're not always thinking about the past or the future, and you're not always doing something you don't like to do, or that's only based out of muscle memory and that you're only doing for survival, you know? So I think that's something like that's something we could really correlate to this entire death thing, because it's like death. What if death is your experience or your experiences that base death as it is? Like belief and hope. These are two things that humans always go towards. Religion is such a big thing because of belief and hope, and because it provides belief and hope. In fact, I think I don't remember the scientist, but I think it was Pascal, okay, uh, that said that believing in God is a win-win situation.
I've read about this. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So like believing in God, if you believe in God, it's a win-win situation. For any scientist who's an atheist, he is right now gambling. Because if God does exist, you were in your head very stupid to say he doesn't. So you lose in that point. All right.
Mm.
And at the same time, you don't have belief and you don't have hope. And it's not like you don't have belief and hope, and those two things only come out of believing in God, but it is one of the major properties of believing and hope. That's something that you like. That's like an instinct for us humans. Praying to God, asking some eternal being for help, like, right? Like, I mean, I think that gives me a lot of belief and hope. So believing in God is a win-win situation, because it's like, hey, even if he doesn't exist, I have belief and hope. If he does exist, I have belief and hope, and God exists. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not stupid at the same time. So
You know what's
honestly, yeah,
what's interesting?
yeah,
You know how I'm not trying to target any religion. I'm just saying it for the record.
yeah,
But you know how different religions, you know how they conceptualize the idea of afterlife and heaven and hell.
yeah,
It's so similar. I mean, yes, heaven and hell, but like there are obviously some religions. I'm not going to name which ones. Conceptualize heaven as heaven very differently than other religions. What's interesting is what they talk about death. Like you know, they so for some some religions have reincarnation, and you
Yeah.
guys
yeah,
you guys should know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and personally, reincarnation and I don't believe in it. I think it's stupid. But that's just my opinion. And what I'm trying to talk about is is the interesting bit is how different religions and how religion plays a huge role in shaping our consciousness, our things, our knowledge about what heaven and hell looks like, and what our ideas are about death.
Yeah.
So that's
I mean, if you really think of it, right? Humans'
Yeah.
basic instincts, they
Yeah,
have the seven
Yep.
deadly sins.
Not the anime.
Right? I mean, if you guys know what the seven deadly sins are, right? Yeah. So
Season,
like,
season 3 is coming out, by the way.
I mean, yeah, not the anime, not the anime. Even though
Yes.
I love the anime, by the way.
Continue.
I know October 17th, right? Oh my god, I'm excited. But yeah, so seven deadly sins, right?
Yeah.
I love how our otaku selves just come out. But anyway, so uh, the seven deadly sins, where it's a part of our instincts in a lot of ways. So when you do anything, even if you create an NGO or you create a church or you create a religion, a lot of it is out. It's not out of profit, but you will gain a profit. You will definitely gain a profit from it. Like there is always a to every self, and this is what I like to say a lot as well. Every selfless act has a selfish sub act in it, or what do you call counteract or byproduct. There's always a selfish reason to each selfless action. For instance, every action of yours is based on a selfless action. Every action. Man, I mean, I really believe, like, even the Gates Foundation, they wanted to do something for the world, and they're definitely doing it. But what is their selfless act to it? What is their selfless act for it? There has to be a selfless, and there always has to be one. It could be just the pride of knowing you're doing it, just the happiness that you see in others, that you like to be happy. Those are also selfless acts because they increase self-esteem, they increase your sense of belief in yourself, they increase your morals, they may decrease your karma. For like people who really believe in karma, they may say, hey, I've done something really great, now my karma is decreased in bad stuff, so yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I just want to add
Yeah.
on. I just want to say that religion is a massive entity.
Oh yeah,
It shapes.
huge. It's
It
huge.
shapes. It shapes anyone like
Yeah. It's a
however it
huge
Yeah.
wants. If you just believe,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
you're changed instantly.
Definitely
And
has
you
a
know what I
huge
hate?
impact
It's
on
the
society.
uneducated.
A huge impact.
exactly. And
Yeah, it
also,
has such a good impact. Now the thing is, it makes the uneducated
also,
like it forces them to believe because they have no hope.
Yeah. That.
no, uh, I want to add on to that. It's not just that. Also, if you think about it, as a kid, you'll be learning stuff from your parents a lot. Like, don't do this. God will be angry.
Yeah.
Or you
Mhm.
have to follow certain rules because of your religion.
I mean, yeah, like there's pros and cons to everything, right? Like I think religion
Not
does
just a-
constrain a lot of people and limit a lot of people though. Definitely. I think religious communities nowadays are highly extremist. Not a lot of them, but a lot of them. Like I mean, I'm not saying majority of them are, but a lot of them definitely are extremists. And I think extremists are the most unrealistic people that there are. You know,
I agree.
I think to believe in something to such an extremity is wrong. And
Yeah,
to
I
question
agree.
yourself is right. Not to doubt, but definitely continue to have a curiosity and continue to be not diplomatic, but definitely between things or correlating things at a constant. Like me, I believe in God, but I also want to say, hey, we do have science to look at. How can they coexist? And God, who is God? What is God? That's definitely a topic for another time because I have a lot to say on that. And if I start, I will not
Yeah.
end.
On that note, we should keep
Yeah,
these topics for another
definitely.
day. I would just like to
Same.
conclude
Me
by
too.
talking about our podcast. We are from Generation Z. Uh, as I mean, everyone is. You as a listener is probably part of Generation Z, or could be the millennial generation. Who knows? The point of this podcast is just to learn. You know, me, my friends here, we like to learn. We enjoy learning. So I just want to say that, I mean, we've gone on for too long. uh,
This was
we
longer than
originally
expected,
planned.
That was way long.
We just, you could definitely tell us what topics you guys might want to listen to, and we would use our
Yeah.
easy minds without with doing very minimalistic research. We just like to apply a brain. That's what we're trying to do with this whole idea of offsprings. The name offsprings is that we're from the offsprings of the millennial generation, and we want to learn. We simply just want to go on and learn. That's the main importance of the podcast. That's why we discuss these topics to maybe engage our mind and to we want to just use our brain. um but on that note, I would like to end today's episode. Today we've had a lot of fun.
Yep,
right?
definitely. I loved
Um,
it. I loved every second.
Today, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, if you made it through the end
Yeah, it
till
was
the
fun.
end, please send us topics to talk about. We would definitely love to hear what you guys want us to talk about.
Give us content.
Give us content, please. On that note, I have been Tortle,
And I have been Shrimp.
I'm Walrus.
and together we're the Offsprings. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back in another week.
That's it for this week's episode. If you liked it, show us some lovin' by smacking that like button, smashing the subscribe button, and if you want to stay tuned for next week's episode, boy, bang that notification too, eh? Oh, and of course, don't forget to always stay shrimptastic.